Thank goodness, man. We are finally starting to see some news slowly trickle in there with the Patrik Laine stuff from yesterday and then the KHL signings as well. And we had ourselves a bunch of articles where analysts are going out there and writing about possibilities. It's actually giving us stuff to talk about. So I think, I don't want to make any bold and assertive statements here, but I think we are starting to get through the dog days of summer and slowly reapproach the territory where news actually is starting to come out consistently. Now, with this in mind, we've been making a lot of Oilers videos the past few days, and we have ourselves an update to go out there in regards to Edmonton and their salary cap situation. I'm going to leave a link in the description to thescore.com because earlier this morning, you had Kayla Douglas publish a piece about some comments made by new Oilers GM Stan Bowman. Here is your Leon Draisaitl contract update, and how Bowman says there is nothing negative to report. Now, at this point, I feel a lot of people were just going to have to get used to Stan Bowman being back in this position. There was a petition to get him out. Everybody was outraged as to the choice to hire him as the GM. And believe me, I was on that train too. I still am, to be honest. But now he is in his position, he's got the role, he's getting things done, and there was an interview done with Stan Bowman earlier this week on NHL.com that goes out there and talks about some pretty juicy stuff in regards to Leon Draisaitl. Now this, of course, is a Score article that we're reading that just goes out there and uses the Draisaitl quotes isolated so it's a lot easier for us to keep track of things. Let's just go out there and read what the updates are. New Oilers GM Stan Bowman doesn't have much to say about Leon Draisaitl's contract negotiations at this point, but it does seem like no red flags have been raised during his early discussions with agent Mike Liut. I had a good conversation with him and we're starting things off, and the timing on that will be what it will be. Stan Bowman told NHL.com's Derek Van Diest on Monday, "I don't have an update of where it's going to be or the timing on that, but there's nothing negative to report. Certainly." Now, okay, that's kind of good. I mean, last time we had talked about Leon Draisaitl, it was in the video going over how apparently his only want is to get a long-term contract at 7 or 8 years, and I don't want to say that came without any red flags. I mean, it was an idea that we tossed out there. Hey, was it some sort of a shorter-term deal that Draisaitl might have rejected, or he is very adamant on this 8-year thing, which could lead to some discomfort because last time we had seen an Alberta superstar definitively say into the media, "I only want to sign long-term," the guy ended up leaving. Yeah, we're talking about Matthew Tkachuk. So, similar situations aside, Draisaitl wanting to sign long-term is a good thing, right? We can all agree that him wanting to stay in Edmonton and maybe take a bit of a discount even on top of that to keep the team competitive whilst he is on the team for a long time would be seen as a good move. However, we have ourselves some extra things to go out there and talk about in regards to Bowman and Draisaitl. He has 1 season remaining on his current 8-year deal with an AAV of $8.5 million. He can become a UFA once it expires, and it has been eligible to sign a new extension since July 1st. During Bowman's introductory press conference, he had said that ironing out a new extension for Draisaitl was his top priority, adding that he wanted the German superstar to be an Oiler for life. Now, this is what he had said on Monday. Doubling down on those same comments, Leon Draisaitl is a super talented player, a huge part of what we're doing, and he has been and will be for some time. That hasn't changed at all. I think it's really hard to find stars in the NHL, so when you have them, the goal is to keep them. And that is, of course, something that Stan Bowman had done for quite a few years in Chicago. Taves and Kane, McDavid and Draisaitl. This is not new territory when it comes to managing top-tier players. Of course, though, we could get into the intricacies as to how Stan Bowman didn't really do much in building the team, quote-unquote, in its core, but he did get the benefit of having those players already when he was brought into Chicago's GM position. But either way, all Stan Bowman remarks aside, this is more or less what we have expected out of the Oilers and Leon Draisaitl. The contract not being signed right now is maybe a little bit worrisome, like 5% worrisome for Edmonton Oilers fans, but with all the things coming out here from the GM, with all the rumors saying, hey, he actually does want to stay, like, he wants that long-term deal, it does do a good job at appeasing to the masses and making sure that nobody goes panic sicko mode over what could be a potential disaster if Leon Draisaitl were to decide to leave the Edmonton Oilers. I will say I'm still kind of tickled in the back of my mind about that entire Matthew Tkachuk saying, oh yeah, Tkachuk said he wanted to stay. He said he only wanted a long-term deal, but then they couldn't get it done, and then he wanted out. So who knows if there's some sort of similar situation here with Draisaitl, if the Boston Bruins or something go out there and pay him $13-14 million to be a number one center above Elias Lindholm or something. Maybe San Jose brings him over to be above Macklin Celebrini and he plays with Toffoli. Something crazy like that, but it'd have to be like a $14 million idea floating around in order for Draisaitl to even consider it at this point. I mean, if the guy's willing to take a discount to stay at Edmonton, it means to me that he's not even really caring much about that money. Sure, it's an important part of it, you can't ignore that it's there, but if he really just wants to be a part of a championship caliber team, and he feels like Edmonton is the place to do that, then okay. Plus, there also is the entire connivance here, the idea floating around that not only Leon, but Evan Bouchard and Connor McDavid will be interested in discounts to really help this team move forward with that Stanley Cup path. Let's go back over to the article and finish off what it is. It says Draisaitl has been one of the NHL's most consistent producers in recent years, finishing among the top 8 point getters in each of the past 6 years. He's eclipsed the 100-point mark on 5 occasions, including his 106-point effort this previous campaign. The 28-year-old has proven to be a key contributor for the Oilers in the playoffs, amassing 31 points in 25 games this previous spring during Edmonton's run to the finals and scoring an outlandish 13 goals in 12 games last year. Draisaitl was also memorably hindered by a sprained ankle during the 2022 playoffs, but that did not stop him from racking 32 points in 16 games. He owns 850 points, the 17th most amongst active players in 719 career games, and 108 points in 74 playoff games. His next contract could make him the highest paid player in the NHL, a mantle currently held by Toronto Maple Leafs sniper Auston Matthews. Draisaitl said in June that he loves being an Oiler more than anything, and the team has made the postseason 6 times since Draisaitl's debut in 2014-15. So Leon Draisaitl, good player, everybody acknowledges that. It is kind of interesting, though, to see Bowman go out there and talk about his perspective on the matter. He is talking with the agent. They are just going over some things, but the when is the only part of the conversation that has not fully been established. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below if you're an Oilers fan. What are your opinions on this Leon Draisaitl contract update? I'll leave a link in the description to the Score article that we had pulled from, and within it is the NHL.com interview with Stan Bowman. It goes over everything else that is discussed with the new Oilers GM. But what are your thoughts on Draisaitl and his potential extension? What are your thoughts on 8 years? What are your thoughts on the dollar amounts that could be attached to that? And what are your thoughts on Bouchard and McDavid potentially taking discounts as well? A lot of this isn't really new information, quote-unquote, but it is nice to see the interviews and the comments made from the ones in charge. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.